Welcome back to another week of some MIDI for Kids guitar kind of recap here. This is Mr. K, of course, and a couple things I want to share with you today have to do with not only playing the stuff that we're working on, but just routine guitar maintenance. And the number one thing is going to be tuning your guitar. If you don't already have a clip-on tuner that looks like this, I have it on my guitar blog. This is called the Snark Tuner. It's available on Amazon for like 12 bucks or something like that. What it does is when you clip it on, it has an indicator dial here that tells you when you're in tune or not in tune. Now, we haven't really talked about this too much, other than when the kids bring in their guitars that they let me tune them up for them. And most of the time we're pretty close, but close isn't good enough in music lessons. We want to be precise. So I'll move this over here so that you can see that the snark, sorry, I'm getting used to this. The snark is on the end of my guitar. Now, when it's turned on and I play a pitch, it registers on this dial right here. And if the dial goes to the right too far, that means that the note is too high or sharp. And if it's to the left, that means the note is too low or flat. Now, a couple notes about tuning. You need to tune the strings to the appropriate pitch. Each string has its own pitch that it's supposed to be at. For instance, this 6th string here is supposed to be the note E. If you notice, my dial is smack dab in the middle, which is good. That's in tune. If, for instance, though, I played it and it was too low, lower than E, so notice it's not even registering as E, I play the pitch and turn the tuning peg at the same time. That way I know that I'm not turning too far. Because as I'm tuning, what I'm actually doing is tightening the strings or loosening them. And one of the biggest problems that happens with kids or amateur guitar players is that they will turn the tuning pegs without listening and then end up snapping a string. So I would encourage parents to invest in a clip-on tuner like the Snark. I don't get paid by them, so don't worry. I'm not trying to sell any, but it is a good tuner. It's one that a lot of my guitar playing friends really quite enjoy. All right, now on to some of the class stuff that we were doing. Last week I gave the kids this sheet of guitar patterns, and these are all patterns on the high E string, or the first string way up here. So what we want to make sure of is that on this whole page, and there's actually 2 more that I put on the back of the packet that the kids got today, these notes are all on the first string. If your child is playing this and you notice them doing something like this and strumming all the strings, they're not quite right. They're not quite doing it. So I'm going to play through some of these. Your child's welcome to play along with me, but a couple things to remember. First of all, we're only playing on the first string. I think we've got that established. Second of all, when we see a note that is 3rd fret, we're going to use all 3 fingers. The first note on the page, right here, that's the note G. That is 3rd fret. We're going to press and use the other 2 fingers to support. So I'll play number 1, and maybe we'll do something like echo me. I'll play and then you play. Your turn. Number 2. 3. Number 4. 5. 6. 7. Awesome, awesome, awesome. excuse me as I go to the next page here. Now all of these first 2 pages that we got last week, they're all quarter notes. They're all 1 beat per note, except for the occasional half note, which is actually 2 beats. The page that your child should have gotten today on the back of their packet includes all of these, 15, 16 through 28. 15 starts to incorporate paired eighth notes. That's 2 sounds per beat. So 15 sounds something like this. Sixteen. 18. Now, I don't know if I can get to where you can see this, but when we are doing the paired eighth notes, what we're going to try to do is not just use the thumb and go over and over again, but we're going to try to alternate thumb and first finger. And try to alternate those as much as is possible. I know it's hard to see all of those things all at once. These progress in difficulty, so I'm starting in 15 and 16 and 17 and 18 here with only E and G. And then I progress to G's, F sharps, and E's, and then finally, when we get down to 21, we're talking about moving eighth notes. For instance, number 21 is not 2 notes on the same, or 2 pitches on the same pitch, but kind of a challenge. 22, and then we get the kind of crazy ones, 25 and 26. So if we can get there, that's pretty awesome. Practice suggestion for kids at home is this. Play each line to where you can play it really easily and without looking at the left hand up here. We want to make sure that we're not looking at that left hand. Parents, you can ensure this by making sure that their posture is such that their guitar, the center of the wood part of their guitar, usually a little bit below the sound hole here, is about at their belly button, and the guitar is vertical. In other words, you know, they can rest in this little curve here, or just over top of the other curve. That way we can make sure that the left hand up here doesn't have to look. If you see that the neck of the guitar is down like this, kind of like a slide guitar, you want to encourage your kids to bring it up a little bit more. So what I would do if I were practicing and trying to get through all 28 of these, I would play each one as a kind of a level of a video game. Do number 1 until you can do it perfectly without looking at your guitar. Put a check mark by it. Do number 2 until you can do it perfectly. Put a check mark by it. And so on and so forth down through each of the patterns. When you think you've got it checked off, the key is going to be coming back the next day and playing it. If you can come back the next day and play it, then you've got it. If you can come back the next day and it's kind of so-so, well, then you might not have it. You might need to go back and practice it again. But see if you can get through the whole sheet and have all 28 checked off. All right, finally, before I sign off, I'm going to come over to the MIDI for Kids book work here. We did a song called Chango Ve, Chango Ase, Monkey See, Monkey Do. I'm going to move on over here so that I can have both me and the book in the view here. Oops. So in Chango Ve, we're going to be using the E major chord, which is indicated here, which should look like something like this, and sound something like that. The F/E is a hybrid chord where we're actually moving all the fingers that are fretted here up 1 fret. So rather than being on 2nd fret, and 1st fret, now we're on 3rd, 3rd, and 2nd. And that sounds like this. Kind of interesting on its own, but when we play it combined, Gives kind of a Spanish flavor to the piece. So on Chango Ve, Chango Ase, we traded back and forth. I would play a pattern and then the kids would play it back to me using those particular chords. And they're welcome to practice that on their own, trying to make up their own strumming patterns. But if they turn the page to Flamenco Niño here, we'll notice that we use the same chords. It's a progressive thing. So in the first part of Flamenco Niño, what we have is it's a 6/8 or a 6/4, 6/8 type of song. In other words, there's 6 beats per measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In here, we're going to play the E chord 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Then our F/E once and say cinco, seis. That first line should sound something like this. Cinco, seis. Cinco, seis. Take a look at this third line. We see the E chord for the first 3 slashes, our F/E for the next 3 strums, and our E chord one more time to establish that tonality, followed by counting in Spanish. So, that third line. Dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Now I'm going to make sure that my high E string is in tune, and I'll play the whole thing for you, at least the whole top part here, just this part. We'll worry about the bottom part later. Cinco, seis. Cinco, seis. Dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Cinco, seis. Cinco, seis. Dos, tres, cuatro, cinco, seis. Once again, if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. If you have any successes that you want to let me know about, that you would like to share, then please feel free to send those along as well. I always love videos and stuff of the kids practicing, performing, especially if they've done something really well or if we're playing for somebody else. Just keep me posted. Sometimes they're not as keen on sharing those things with me live in class. Anyhow, this is Mr. K signing off for this week. Happy practicing. Do a lot.